To really have a strong backbone, you gotta practice confrontation.
You truly train the people you're around how to treat you.
100%.
And if you're constantly like, oh, it's all good.
If you're constantly letting stuff slide,
all good, it's okay.
Give them an inch, they're gonna take a mile. Know your worth enough to stick up for yourself. And when the opportunity presents itself for you to stick up for yourself, be calm, be confident. And a lot of people are scared of confrontation because they don't want to start an argument, because they don't want to lose a friend. There are some things where I've decided, okay, well, I'm going to confront this person, but it's going to mean losing the friendship, but I'm okay with that. Hey, Lex.
Hey, what's up?
Welcome to 80/20.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you here.
Thanks.
So for those of you who don't know who Lexie is, she's my little sister.
Yeah, hello. Nice to meet you.
We are currently on the couch and
all cozied up. We're ready to get to it.
Yes, Lexie was just eating your, what are those called?
Scandinavian swimmer. They're just gummies from Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have our blankets and we're going old school, no video today.
Yeah.
Just the good old days.
Do you feel like it's a little easier to record that way?
Oh,
just
100%.
because it's like more candid?
Yeah. It's more chill and it just, I feel like it almost feels like I'm just phoning a friend.
Yeah.
Whereas when I've got the camera rolling, I'm worried about, okay, is it recording? Does the setup behind me look okay? Mm-hmm. If the lighting in the house changes, how do I get it back to, look okay? And then both the cameras that I have only record to 20 minutes. Oh, and then it's an overheating thing. Mm-hmm. Like it's a preventative measure that Canon adds to their cameras and you can't turn it off in both of these cameras. And so I have to stop and keep recording. Yeah. There's a way to do it, but I just haven't messed around with you can get this adapter self-timer thing and set it up, and it just is this whole thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Plain and simple. I just don't want to have to go through all of that. And then also I do all my own editing. And for those of you who listen every week, you know that. And so it's just a lot. And I'm like, okay, I need to have time to, I'd rather have the episode be a really good piece of content than have it be all fancy with video and stuff. The video is nice for TikToks and Reels and stuff, but I just miss doing it old school style.
Here we are.
I know, here we are. Back to my roots.
All right. Well, let's just get into it. Tell them what we're talking about today.
Okay. Today we're talking about growing a backbone and standing up for yourself.
Yeah. And a lesson I think we should all learn.
I think so too. And this is kind of something that Lexie and I have been talking about in a lot of different areas of our lives. And I thought that it would just be the perfect episode to record today. But before we get into that, I've never treated you like a guest on my podcast.
No.
So I'm going to treat you like a guest.
No, I think that's better too. Cause I feel like, cause this topic is so big, I have a lot to say, but I don't think I could just whip it up and spit it out. I think that if I'm prompted with questions, I'll have better answers.
Perfect. So before we get into the actual content, I'm going to put you on the hot seat.
Oh, no.
I'm going to hit you with hot.
My booty's burning.
Okay. Hot seat questions. Well, actually, first, we're going to start with highs and lows of, we'll call it your week. I know it's only Tuesday, but we can do from the past 7 days. Highs and lows. Give me your low first.
I don't even know. Right now I have a headache, but that's just because the eye doctor shined a light right in my eyeball. But last week I feel like I was just dragging. I did so much, but I felt like I just didn't really take care of myself.
You taught what, 12 yoga classes?
Yeah, I think 12, and I was on my period and worked a bunch. So I was just a little sluggish, but this week's already off to a better start. Today's workout was really hard, but definitely what I needed. It was just finally nice to actually work out and do something active, because I feel like even though I was busy, I wasn't doing anything active workout active. I was running around doing a million things in my little bubble, but I definitely felt better this morning, just starting the day like that.
Yeah. I also like today's workout. Mm-hmm. It was a really good one. We did We had the weight vests on. We did all kinds of stuff. I couldn't.
It's like a blur because it was so much and so hard.
And sandbag runs and a lot of lifting, a lot of squats, a lot of lunges, which was tough because I taught a class yesterday. Yeah. And I probably made them do like 1,000 lunges, and I demoed the workout with them. So I just did the full workout with them. And so I was like
on fire.
A little sore today. But I also think that it's important to, like, as a fitness instructor, make sure that you're taking time to work out for yourself, because it's like nice to actually get a good sweat on and not feel like you're in charge of people. Yeah. Okay, my low for the week would probably be that about an hour ago I went to get in my car and my car battery was dead.
Oh yeah, I already forgot about that.
I forgot about that too until I thought about my low.
That's a bummer.
Because it's not really something that I want to deal with today. So I'm going to push it to tomorrow. So I'm going to deal with that tomorrow. I just don't really have time to deal with it today. I have work that I need to do, and I use Lexie's car to go do what I needed to do. And then I'll just deal with my car battery tomorrow when I have more time.
Yeah, for sure.
And then high of the week. Oh, probably that I went to go see mom and dad last weekend.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That was nice. They always take us out to dinner when we go to
visit. They take you out to dinner.
They didn't take you out to dinner when you went? Really? Did you only go for the day though?
Yeah, I had to come back here and help you.
Yeah, you did.
Dad was so mad. He was like, "Tell her that she can do it alone. Just stay here." It was cute. He was like, "Don't go."
Well, that's okay. We'll go home at the end of the month, and then we can go out to dinner a lot.
I haven't been out to dinner with mom and dad in so long.
Really?
You go every single
Are you hungry?
time. Starving.
Okay. All right. Are you ready for the hot seat questions?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a couple of them. You have to think on your feet. Don't worry too much about your answer. Just first thing that comes to mind. Okay. If you had to choose one song to play every time you entered a room, what would it be?
Pitbull, El Chapaya. I don't know if I said that right, but
can you sing that song for us?
Echapaya, say louder. Echapaya, it's all in Spanish, and I don't know Spanish, so I'm probably butchering it or saying.
What does El Chapaya mean?
I have no idea.
We should probably look it up.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm saying. Sube a pano para arriba, la empawaba. I'm not doing it right.
Someone's gonna listen to
be like, this girl is stupid.
Fluent Spanish speaker. They'd be like, that was gibberish. I have to log into this. This is like lyrics.com. Move all the hands. Say it with me. Move all the hands.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. I can put it in like Google Translator. All right. Moving on. Next question. Best way to unwind after a long day?
Sitting on the couch and rotting. I'm not even kidding. You just sit and you don't do anything. Sometimes no TV. Sometimes, most times, no phone. Lots of times it's dark and I don't let Lily speak to me. I have like 8 blankets on top of me and I just lay there with my eyes closed. And then I'll have a water nearby because I get thirsty pretty easy. But that's how I unwind.
The best is when I come home and I start cooking dinner and you don't move. Like the amount of times I like check to see if you're breathing.
Yeah, like if I fall asleep on the couch, Lily can literally bring an elephant, like, I don't know.
I could run a
mariachi band in here.
I could run a circus in here and you wouldn't move.
Yeah. I would just think things were happening in my dreams. I would add the mariachi band to my life in my dream.
All right. I can't even look at you when I ask you this next question.
I can only imagine. All right. What? What is it?
All right. If you had to eat an entire block of cheese. I'm sorry. If you had to eat an entire block of cheese, what kind of cheese would you choose?
Sharp cheddar. I've done that before. In one sitting. Less than an hour of work.
Yeah, I only asked that question because it was really specific. Bucket list item that you want to cross off before you're 25.
Jump out of an airplane.
Favorite gift to send on iMessage?
Vector.
Best piece of advice you've ever received?
I have no idea. I actually hate this question because I can't ever rethink of advice that people have given me. So obviously I didn't take it. It's in one ear, out the other. No, for real though. I guess just like, who gives a crap?
Who gave you that piece of advice?
Mom and dad.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, ooh, it's only embarrassing if you let it be embarrassing.
Yeah, that's
I guess
true.
it's
That's
just like a mantra.
like a mantra.
But like, I think mom told me that. But like, seriously, things are only embarrassing if you let them be. Most of the time, it's just comical, and you're like, "Oops, whatever." I think you just roll with it.
That's how you and I have acquired a lot of our funny stories.
Yeah, no, like there's never a time I'm acting normal. The most recent thing that I've done that I actually did get embarrassed from was when I went up to order my coffee. And the guy was like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I said, "Hi, I'm Lexie. I'll be taking your order." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm ordering my coffee." And he was like,
Wait, you told him that you were going to be taking his order?
Yeah. I was like, "Hi, my name's Lexie. I'll be taking care of you." I was like, "Just kidding. You're taking my coffee order." And then he was like, And I was like, "I'm just a really..."
He glitched.
He did. He just stood there and looked at me. And he was like, And I go, "I'm sorry. I'm a waitress and I'm really tired. Can I just have my coffee?" It was so awkward. And there was really no recovery other than just accepting that, like, yes, you heard me correctly. I messed up.
That's funny. But yeah, I think not getting embarrassed is almost like a learned skill, but also just realizing that no one cares and you're probably having more fun than them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, it's so easy to not be embarrassed and just like laugh it off and be like, "Oops, whatever."
Like you're always like dancing in the grocery store or like laughing with strangers. And I just think it makes life more interesting. And like, that's how we've acquired so many of our funny stories, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are currently in our That Girl, This Woman series, which is a series where we talk about who the world tells us to be versus who God tells us to be. And I posted a lot of awesome episodes so far. We've talked about hookup culture, hustle culture, anxiety, binge eating, practicing goal setting, hormone health, self-discipline, and all kinds of other good stuff. So if you haven't listened to any of those episodes, you definitely should. And if you're enjoying the series, please be sure to give it a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, because that is truly the best way to boost the show. And I know for me personally, like I'm not a big review person. Are you a big review person?
No.
And I should be.
Only if it pops up on my screen and like I have to tap something for it to go away.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't even read reviews.
I know. And that's kind of my thing. The one thing I do read reviews on is like Airbnbs.
Oh.
That's pretty much
I don't read any reviews anywhere.
You don't care what other people think. You should just make your own opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that's
actually, I read reviews if I buy from like a cheap website, because you never know.
Or like sometimes an Amazon review's good.
No. I just freestyle.
Freestyle?
Yeah.
Wow, you're brave.
I know.
But I'm trying to become a better reviewer, because it truly does boost people's podcasts. I've tried to go and review friends' podcasts, so I'm just hoping that people want to do the same for my show.
Let's all go right now.
Let's all
find the review box and write something in it.
And it can literally
something kind,
something nice. It can literally just be like, "This episode really helped me with anxiety," or "This episode
rocked. Lexie's great."
Yeah, someone write that. I need 10 people to write that right now.
You get a prize.
Boosted Lexie's ego. All right. And then the other thing too is just tagging on Instagram too. Like if you're listening in the car, just snap a pic of your dashboard and tag 8020pod, 8020pod. You could tag me, Lily Rakow, and you can tag Lex too.
Yeah,
because she's so cute. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about growing a backbone and what it means to build a backbone and stand up for yourself. Go ahead.
I just like it. I don't know why. I don't like that term.
Backbone?
I don't know why.
Why?
I just said I don't know why.
What about it makes you uncomfortable?
Because you're born with a backbone.
That's your spine.
But, okay, so no one's born with a backbone.
It comes with time, I feel like. Your metaphorical backbone. Comes with age. You grow into it.
Okay, continue.
Do you think that your backbone is strong?
No.
Okay. So your backbone, I think that you have a strong backbone. I think that this is definitely an area that I think that everyone can find strength in. And I think that it's definitely something that comes with age. Like when I was in your shoes, even though it was only 3 years ago, like we're only 3 years apart, but I definitely feel and see and know that there's such a big difference between my backbone when I was 20 versus my backbone when I'm about to turn 24.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was looking up synonyms for backbone.
All right, what'd you find?
Spine.
Goodness gracious.
No. Cornerstone, foundation, pillar. But let's just continue to use backbone.
Okay. So building a backbone, I Googled this. Building a backbone begins with cultivating a strong sense of self and unwavering self-belief. And this kind of plays perfectly into our series because I think that when you know who you are and you trust yourself, you can trust your decisions, it's easier to have your own back and know that the things that you say, the morals that you have, your values are yours and that you're upholding those because you have a backbone. And I also think that it plays perfectly into the series because I think that cultivating a strong sense of self really just means that you're trusting in God and you're getting to know him and you're growing closer to him. And then that will in turn help you when the world gets to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with that. And I think that like you sort through all your stuff, figure out who you are, how you want to live. Naturally, you won't put up with the nonsense of the world anymore. You can stand firm in who you are, what you want to achieve, short-term, long-term, whatever, like what you stick up for. And I think that also when you dive deep into your relationship with the Lord, all that stuff becomes very evident. But then also you realize you're not just doing it for yourself, you're standing up for him as well. So that in turn just makes you more of like a woman, like a godly woman.
I think that there are multiple areas of your life where you need to have a really strong backbone. And a few of the ones that we came up with when we were brainstorming for this episode were socially, in your workplace, and in your relationships. And I think those 3 areas are probably the most important. Obviously, I think like maybe different areas, at different points in your life.
You only said 2, but then you said 3.
Socially, in the workplace, and relationships.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I think like in your 20s, those are probably your most important. Like
Absolutely,
once you maybe start to have a family, like things might shift. But I think that in your 20s, it's probably socially, in your relationships, and in your workplace, and not necessarily in that exact order, but just those are kind of 3 areas that I think are most important. And or at least where I've struggled to have a backbone. What do you think?
No, and that's where I struggle too, especially being 21 and just like figuring things out. Because a lot of people who are my age are just in school and just like floating through. Whereas right now, like being super young and still having real adult responsibilities, it's tough to stand up for yourself because more common than not, like I'm the youngest one in the room in all the different areas that I live my life, even in my friendships, my relationship, both of my jobs, like naturally I'm just the youngest one there.
Do you feel like because you're constantly the youngest person in the room that...
I don't think that I get treated differently. If anything, I think I have a little more respect because I'm mature enough to be in that room. So obviously there's something that I bring to the table that allows me to like go into that door. But I think that sometimes I have to check in with how I'm treating the other people in the room because it could be taken as disrespectful coming from the youngest person. I think about...
Do you think that you hold yourself back from saying things or
sometimes,
taking action?
Yeah.
Because
like in my mind
youngest?
right now, like I'm thinking about like a time at restaurant work when I was brought in with the managers and was able to sit and talk to the managers, the owners, and like they asked me for my opinion because they appreciate what I have to say. So it's like, obviously I could be candid to an extent, but I don't want to be disrespectful because I'm 21 and these people have like built from nothing for 30 years a restaurant that's successful. So it's like, I don't know. I don't want to, overstep.
I think that shows that you do have a strong backbone because you're self-aware enough to know that like you aren't the smartest person in the room. And sometimes I think that even recognizing that takes incredible self-awareness and incredible, like a rock solid foundation of who you are as a person.
Yeah, no, and I'm not disagreeing with that, but okay, well maybe that wasn't a very good example. Maybe like the yoga studio, for example. I'm 21 and a lot of the people who come to my classes are middle-aged. So it's like sometimes it's hard for me to even convey not so much like a physical direction of the sequence I created, more so of like a candid conversation after class. If I share my opinion and it's not the same as theirs, then they'll tell me why I'm wrong. And maybe that's just like the culture of like the middle-aged moms and dads who come to the classes, and
maybe it's almost like
maybe that's just their
motherly perspectives or advice,
right? Or just like their demeanor on life. Whereas like even when I share like some experiences, they'll come back with something else. It's like a little, not so much negative, but like not a positive shift in perspective. I don't know how to explain that. But sometimes I feel like, okay, maybe I should just like agree with them, or maybe just like wrap up the conversation, because it's like I'm not going to continue to go back and forth with different opinions when I can just be like, yeah, okay, and then just walk away, because I'm not going to like try to be rude when I'm younger than them. I feel like it's like a weird dynamic.
I can see that. And I think too, you've always been typically the youngest person in the room, just growing up with two older sisters. Mm-hmm. And you were always just kind of like thrown into the fire. You know, when we had lacrosse games and stuff growing up, like you would just play with the older kids. Yeah. Or on swim team, between events, you were playing with the older kids. Yeah. And even if you were 3, 4, 5 years younger than the kids that are around you, you've always been the youngest. And then by default, like all of the people in our friend group are, I mean, some of our like best friends are like 26, 27. Yeah. Like that's a big age gap, you know, and there's a lot that happens between being 21 and being 26 or 27. And so I think those friends are almost, you know, and even to me are like older brothers, you know.
I mean, even my boyfriend is 2 years older than me, and sometimes he's like, I always forget. Like, I mean, it's not like it's like a big deal, but like it's just funny because like I'm the same age as his sister, so to him his sister is like so young, and then to me he's like, I always forget.
So it sounds to me like for you, age is a big hurdle when it comes to having a backbone.
Yes and no. Like, I think that that's like the easiest thing that I would say would be a struggle, but also I guess like the way that you just like shifted my perspective on like it is nice to be aware, like that's a good trait to have. But I think that like, I don't know, workplace age matters, I think. Like that's where I think that it would be challenging. I guess socially it would be the fact that like standing up for what you believe in and what you think is right definitely will hurt other people's feelings. And if you're around the wrong people, then it'll just create drama. So that's the biggest thing for me. I think less my age, more so like other people's feelings and me not wanting to deal with like the repercussions of me speaking up.
So let's talk about that for a second. Can you think of an instance where socially something went against your values and you had to stick up for yourself?
Plenty. Yeah.
Can you give any examples that you'd be comfortable sharing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, all my life I've been around girls who gossip. Every girl gossips, you know, like it's just, it is what it is. But like the worst thing, and I've actually witnessed this like 4 times in the past 2 weeks. It's been textbook gossip. Like, everybody's standing together, chit-chatting, everyone's friends. One girl walks away to do something, and then the conversation becomes about her. And I just stand there or sit there or whatever, and like, what the heck? And then it's like, you don't want this to continue, but also if you say something, then that could be a problem. And then if I walk away, then they're going to start to talk about me. So I'm like, maybe I should just stay here so that they don't talk about me, but I don't want to stay here and listen. So then it's just like, if I shut it down, then there'll be more drama when I do. Like, I don't know. That's really challenging. And I thought that was like playground middle school stuff. And then the fact that I've had that happen in my circles 4 times in the past 2 weeks. Like, I can tell you like every situation to a T, and it blows my mind because it's like, we are the age groups in these circles 21 to 24.
Well, but
crazy.
I think that as an adult, gossip has become so much worse. And I don't know if it's maybe the shock value of the story, or because now, you know, in middle school, the gossip is, oh, well, she has a crush on so-and-so from math class. And now because we're adults, there's bigger decisions that are being made, bigger boundaries that are being crossed. Mm-hmm. And I think that because we're adults, obviously you have more adult stories to share, and the gossip can be that much bigger because it's like, oh my gosh, you will never believe what I heard. And it's a really big problem. And this is honestly something that you and I have had a lot of conversations about in our own life, because we have gossiped and we've also been victims of gossip. This series, That Girl to This Woman, is all about how to elevate your quality of life from the inside out, which is why I am so excited to team up with Funkit Wellness to bring you today's episode. I've used Funkit Seed Cycling Kit for probably like 6 to 8 months now. And guys, when I tell you it's made the most insane difference in my hormone health, I feel like I can't stop raving about it. I probably mentioned seed cycling in almost every episode for the duration of this series. And that's because I just trust it so much, and it's made such an incredible difference. So Funkit is a food-based supplement brand with products specially formulated to help with all things hormone related, including PMS, painful and heavy periods, hormonal acne, low libido, low energy, and so much more. Funkit was founded by dietitian Kate Morton, who's been on this show before, and all of Funkit's products are dietitian approved. My personal favorite is the seed cycling kit, which equips you with the right seeds to take depending on what phase of your cycle you're in. I'll link an episode with Kate in the show notes that has a little bit more education on seed cycling. But in a nutshell, seed cycling is a holistic way to balance your hormones throughout the duration of your cycle, and it involves eating specific seeds during the 2 main phases of your cycle. So right now, I just started my period, so I'm taking the Nurture blend, and I love tossing a couple spoonfuls of that into my smoothie every morning, and that is my favorite way to take my seeds. So I'll take the Nurture blend for the first half of my cycle, and then I'll switch to the Radiate blend around ovulation. Funkit uses high quality, fresh, and organic ingredients so you can feel your best no matter what time of the month it is. I'm a big believer that understanding your cycle, working with your cycle and not against it, and striving for healthy hormones is one of the best things that a woman can do for herself. Like I mentioned, I had Kate Morton, the founder of Funkit, on the podcast a couple weeks ago to talk more about this, so I'll have that episode linked in the show notes. But if you're ready to embark on a hormone healing journey with me, check out Funkit Wellness and use code 8020 for 15% off of your order. Again, that's code 8020, 8020 for 15% off of your order.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's hard because I think to myself a lot of times when we're sitting with friends, or even if you're on FaceTime catching someone up on a story.
I don't FaceTime my friends anymore because it ends up being gossip.
And a lot of times,
and that's sad.
Yeah, and a lot of times the stories that you're sharing with your friends, they're not your stories to share.
Exactly.
And I always just think about how mom would tell us growing up, like, okay, well, that's not really your news to share, you know, or even if it's something about, you know, a good thing in your life. You know, I remember back when Marley got engaged. Before she got engaged, mom called both of us and said, okay, don't post anything on Instagram. Don't post anything on Snapchat. Don't text anybody about this. Let Marley and Josh call who they want to call first and tell personally, and then let them share on Instagram, and then you can repost things and then you can post your own stuff. But that's not your news to share.
Yeah, absolutely.
So whether it's good news or bad news, if it's not your news to share, you probably shouldn't be sharing it. And that's something that I think I've definitely struggled with, and I think that I'm getting better with. And I also have seen and been been caught in the crossfire of gossip and like the he said, she said, and it's not fun.
No. And it's honestly exhausting. Like, I don't know. I think also there's a difference between gossip with friends and telling someone who you're close to what's going on and almost like getting like a second opinion. Like, Lily and I joke that we're a married couple, but we truly like act like it. Like, I know whatever I say to you isn't going to be repeated. Good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. Like, sometimes I'm just like, I have to tell you X, Y, Z. And that could be considered gossip if you were my friend, but I don't consider it correct me if you think I'm wrong. But like, I don't know, if I have a story from work and I'm like, listen to what I heard, like, I need to just tell you this. I don't know, it is gossip, but it's like fine private gossip.
I think it's still considered gossip. There are things that I've heard that I don't tell you.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Are we breaking up?
No, we're not breaking up. But I think too, I mean, I'm a lot like mom in that sense, where sometimes I'm just like, all right, well, I'm just going to tuck that in my back pocket. And like, I know about it. I'm aware of it, but I'm also like, it's not even really worth repeating. Like, do I truly have the energy to exhale this story and retell it? No, I don't. Like, there are so many times when we're in the kitchen and if we're quiet, I'm like, I could tell Lexie about that right now, but I kind of want to.
We're literally a divorced couple now. You're keeping things from me.
No, I'm not keeping secrets from you.
Oh, yeah, you are?
No. Look, I'm
logging on. I'm done here.
But Lexie, can you mute your mic if you're going to eat your gummy bears or whatever you have? Your skin. And
now I'm setting you up for failure.
No, but I think that you and I have a really incredible relationship, and living together has only made it stronger. And I think that we do a good job communicating and setting boundaries and sticking to them, asking for help when we need it. Yeah. I love living with you. Don't leave me.
No.
Okay. All right. So that was a little bit of a tangent, but I wrote this down when we were brainstorming for this episode. Where is the boundary between having a backbone and shutting something down in a polite way versus being rude versus being a bystander? And that's hard.
I think being a bystander is just as bad as being the person running your mouth.
Absolutely. Because you're letting it happen right in front of you.
Yeah. And like, I think walking away is easy. Like, literally saying nothing and just separating yourself. It's so easy to be like, you know what, I really don't like this conversation, and just like turn around and walk. But then, you know, I mean, I've definitely been like, well, if I do leave, then they're going to change the conversation to me, because why would I be special when they just did that to the other girl? I think standing there and listening to it is just as bad as being the one engaging in the conversation. But then, you know, shutting it down, I think, is difficult, but once you do it a few times, like, you'll get comfortable. And honestly, you like coach the people you're around, and like, if you walk away or shut it down or just don't engage, like, over and over and over again, they'll realize like, oh, you know, we kind of can't talk about that around Lexie because she's gonna just put an end to it.
I think it's really interesting because there are a lot of areas socially where gossip is well accepted, and once you it's like kind of like a yellow car. Like, once you start thinking about it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. And because you and I started to have this conversation a couple months ago and just started to become aware of what we say, you know, kind of just mentally check in with, okay, like, I can tell this person something, or I can't tell this person that.
I kind of feel like I can't tell anybody anything aside from like you and Gary.
But I also think too, like, not everyone is always supposed to have access to your business.
No, I know.
So I think that, you know, obviously you have to be discerning with who you tell things to. But I also never want to be the person that people are like, oh, well, make sure that you don't tell Lily that because she's going to go run her mouth. Like, I would never want to be that person. And I hope I'm not.
No, you're not.
But I love this verse in Proverbs 18:21. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. And let me go to all versions because sometimes the Message version is good for that. The Message version says, words kill, words give life. They're either poison or fruit. You choose.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So when it comes to having a backbone in your social circles, I think that a big one, especially for women, is gossip. Not that men don't gossip.
I think it's like the depth that women gossip. Guys will be like, bro, you want to hear what I heard? It'd be so surface level, and they're like, all right, cool. And then they'll like be like, you want to go eat piece of pizza or something stupid, or like did you see what was on the news, like something so dumb and lighthearted, whereas girls would be like, okay, and then what?
Yeah.
And then what? Wait, do you have a screenshot of that? Like, I want to know every single detail. What were they wearing? Who else were they with? Like, was her hair up or down? Was, you know, she there first and then went there? Like, it's just like every single detail, whereas men are so bland with their stories. Like, we need to start learning from them, dare I say.
I think, though, because women are so detail oriented, you can have the most incredible friendships in your female circles because we have that depth.
Right. But just because you know details about a story and you can go in depth doesn't mean you need to go in depth.
No, I completely agree. I'm totally going on a tangent here. I'm just saying how beautiful it is that we're so detail oriented that we can be like, oh, you know, I remember this about her grandma, and I know that, you know, she likes this, that, and this, and that, you know, this would be the perfect birthday gift for her, and I can get, and like, I think like great. That is just really, really cool. So I want to talk a little bit about a backbone in relationships. I think the biggest thing for me, at least, when it comes to having a backbone in relationships would be setting hard boundaries and sticking to them.
Romantic relationships?
Romantic relationships, okay. Yep. Setting boundaries and sticking to them, and knowing what I am willing to tolerate and what I'm not willing to tolerate.
Absolutely.
And I think that for me, this has only come with time. And I think over the past year, I've learned so much. I've really felt my backbone firm up over the past year, just because I've really just been like put through the spin cycle and kind of seen like, okay, this works and this doesn't, and this is what I'm going to be okay with, and this is what I'm not going to be okay with. And the minute that someone crosses that boundary, I'm like, okay, you're done.
That's the best thing too, to like be a little more forward thinking, and if they cross the boundary, that's it. Like, they don't get leeway, because if you discuss the boundary before, they shouldn't have even come close to the line.
I wrote something a bit poetic. Maybe I'll share it on Instagram at some point, but it was about how I'm super quick to throw things out. Like, I'm the first to, if I'm going through my closet, I'm so not attached to clothes. If I'm going through a junk drawer or, you know, storage bins or something, I don't care about stuff. I'm so quick to toss things. But for the longest time, I would hold on really tight to people because, I mean, I don't know why, but I just made the comparison about how, like, I'm quick to throw things away. But then when it comes to people, I find it hard to, you know, kind of like kick people out of my life or remove them from having access to my life because, you know, I was willing to bend a knee in the past. But I think that because of just time and having a better understanding of what I'm willing to tolerate and what I'm not willing to tolerate, I've been able to strengthen my backbone, and then I can easily just kind of like delete people from my life.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Not so much like throwing stuff away versus people. I've always been like, all right, fine, like, you screw me over, you're done.
You've been good at that your whole life.
But like, yeah. I also feel like recently I've been better about limiting everybody's access to me. Like, if you want to know me, then you need to be actually physically present in my life. and be eager to learn about me. Otherwise, I'm not even going to give you a little bit. Like, honestly, like, my closest friends don't really know anything about me anymore, which is fine. Like, but they don't bother to ask. So it's fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I really, like, don't post on Instagram all that much anymore. If I do, it's very, like, bland and low context. And honestly, it's a lot better that way.
I find myself wanting to be so much more private the older that I get.
Yeah.
And I used to have such a desire to, you know, oh, I wish I could have 100,000 followers and, you know, just, you know, blow up on Instagram and then the podcast will blow up and, you know, this, then this, that, and the other thing. And like, I just don't have a desire to be known. I really don't. If I could, like, and that's kind of maybe going back to how we started this podcast about how I love just sitting and recording. Yeah. Like, I don't want to be known. I don't really care about, you know, like blowing up on TikTok. Like, obviously it'd be nice if the podcast would blow up on TikTok.
And you say that with like personal reasons. It's not like you don't want your podcast to be successful, because like obviously it is and you want it to just continue to grow. But it's hard to be public all the time. It's so much easier to just be like flying under the radar and really not caring if you're seen, because it doesn't really matter.
It also, like, I mean, I had like 50,000 followers on YouTube at one point. Like, I shared so many parts and pieces of my life, and it just really isn't fun. Like, it's not all it's cracked up to be. And I guarantee you, like, your favorite famous people hate it. You know?
I always think about that when I see like little like headlines, or when I don't really follow that many like influencers or famous people on Instagram or anything, but like I always, when I make it to their pages, I'm always like, they hate this. Everything they do gets criticized. And half the time it's somebody else making a decision for them. Yeah. Because they think the public eye will like it. Like, I think about like all the ugly outfits all the celebrities always wear. It's like, that's not even their choice. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Like, most of the time they don't dress themselves. When they go to like those events, they all look hideous because some random designer is putting them in these clothes that are disgusting looking. Like, it's actually so ugly. And then
they like call it art.
Yeah.
Like, bro, what?
So ugly.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Okay, then this is kind of a good segue then into work related things, of how, depending on your position, you have to let certain things slide. For me personally, I think, especially in the workplace, it comes with age and it comes with seniority. And when you're fresh, when you're new, especially right out of college, or maybe you're an intern, like, you're at the bottom of the totem pole and you have no say. You have no power to make a change. And I'm not saying that as a, you know, no voice is too small to make a change. But in reality, like, if you're at the bottom of the totem pole, like,
I mean, even in a restaurant, though.
Yeah. Like, you literally feel so small. And obviously no voice is too small to make change. But when it comes down to it, like, it's really hard to make a change. And so I think when it comes to workplace and letting stuff slide, I think it really comes down to your values and what you're okay with and what you're not okay with, and being okay with standing firm in your values and your boundaries, and being okay with saying, whatever, mental health, my boundaries, my values are more important than a job.
Or even like looking cool or being cool.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you're going to give up your values for someone's like public opinion, obviously your values aren't that important to you.
I think about the episode of Friends where Rachel started her new job at, it might have been like Ralph Lauren or something.
Oh yeah, and they
go take a smoke break, and she's not a big smoker, and she's like missing
the decisions,
important work decisions, because they're going down there for a smoke break, but really they're making, you know, decisions over a cigarette. And she's like, oh, well, you know, I do smoke, because she wants to be part of the decision-making team. But she ultimately decided that it wasn't worth it. And I think that's probably an episode that everybody's seen, and we can all kind of relate to that. And like, you know, we've all been in the workplace, or maybe it's in school, where people are doing things and you're like, I don't really know if that's for me. And I also don't really think that aligns with me. I'm going to miss out on Maybe it's decision making, maybe it's team bonding, maybe it's, I don't know, whatever it is for you, you might miss out, but is it worth the cost? Now we have some quick points that we may have already covered, but they're on that list that I airdropped to you. They're labeled Lex and Lil. Okay. We've got some quick hitter points to round out this episode. I know that we've kind of talked about a couple different scenarios, but these are some quick ones. You can kick us off, Lex.
Okay. First one I have is confidence in yourself regardless of who you're around. Basically just like practicing what you preach. So we just talked about that, like keeping your values, what you actually believe they are, and knowing that if you kind of tweak them for certain situations, then maybe you got to check in with yourself and figure out what's actually important to you versus what's not so much important.
Yeah. I always think too, like if you're willing to bend a knee in specific situations, maybe you don't care about that boundary as much as you thought you did.
Right.
Like recheck in with yourself. How important is it? What's your why? Maybe your views on something's changed, and that's okay. If your values have shifted or your boundaries have adapted, just check in. Okay. Number 2, self-awareness enough to know when not to engage. And that takes a backbone too. So if you're in a situation where it's really just not worth the battle, maybe it's best to use your security in yourself and be like, okay, I'm good in who I am. I know who God tells me that I am. I know that I have a backbone, but this is not really worth my energy.
Yeah, that's good.
I always think about Mom, and she would say, do not engage. Like
Yeah.
if there was
3 words, do not engage.
anytime we'd come home with like school drama or I don't know, but anything. Growing up, she'd be like, do not engage. I just hear that. Do not engage.
She does the fingers too.
Yeah. Do not engage.
1, 2, 3 with her fingers. Funny. All right. Next one is start saying no more often. Definitely easier said than done, because I think goes that back to not wanting to miss out. But again, if you're breaking your boundaries and letting things slide when really it does not align with you, just say no. It's really easy, and once you get the hang of it, it's honestly relaxing and therapeutic to be like, you know what, I have a joy of missing out right now. It's fun to be alone. It's fun to not have to deal with more social activity, more drama, more whatever, because you're just content and you're taking rest and you're doing what you actually need to be doing.
Yeah. I also think too, sometimes saying no can be really difficult.
Absolutely.
Especially if it's an opportunity that you would really like to take advantage of. As we talk about our schedules for this coming summer, there are a million things that you and I both want to do, but we've kind of sat at the kitchen table literally with our Google calendars pulled up thinking, how can we make X, Y, and Z work?
I think about like the bridal party yoga thing. That opportunity I was given sounds like an awesome idea, but like
there's no way you could have done that.
I have so much going on that I've already committed, and I was trying to like squeeze it in. Okay, like if I move this yoga class or get a sub here, or I could
was that supposed to be during commissioning week too?
I can't remember the date now, but like
no shot.
Yeah, I mean, if I say that I can come in an hour late to my shift at work and get a sub here, it's just like it's too much shifting around when honestly, I'd probably be happier saying no. And I feel so much weight off my shoulders taking that opportunity and just being like, this is great, but I can't. Yeah. Not this year. Yeah. Think of me, next time you have something in mind.
Absolutely. And it's hard because there's always going to be opportunities, and especially when it almost feels like opportunities are just like falling into your lap. You're like, well, how could I say no? But realizing that sometimes saying no and referring it out to someone else might be the best decision for you because you don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah.
And that takes, having the self-awareness to recognize that takes having a backbone too.
Yeah. And I think about like the energy you're giving versus receiving. As nice as it is to give, you have to take time to recharge your own battery. and get it back in return. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to put out the best of the best.
Not like I want to speak on your behalf, but you've been outpouring so much that you deserve to have a little bit of input. And that's what I hope, like,
I'm more so just like tired than anything.
Yeah.
I've never been this sluggish in my life while simultaneously being so busy.
Yeah.
And that's genuinely just because I just keep putting out and never receiving.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm looking for someone to give to me personally. I just like always need a nap, it feels like.
Yeah. Which is okay. Yeah. And you're locked in, you're hustling.
Yeah, but it's not fun.
No.
So that's kind of where this all stemmed from. Yeah. This episode stemmed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, number 4.
Okay, number 4. Stay the course on what is meant for you. This kind of goes into saying no. Definitely goes into having a backbone. So I kind of doing what I do, I get a lot of feedback from people telling me what I should or shouldn't do. And there's been a lot, especially lately, a lot of voices in my ears telling me that I should look into moving to this city, or I should start this business, or to make more money from the podcast, I should do this, or I should do a spin-off show, or I should open up a Patreon account and do, podcasts behind a paywall and a membership, or I should, do more events, and I should do this and I should do that. And there are so many ideas that are either thrown my way or that I come up with that I feel like I have to do.
Yeah.
And because it's, I'm like, oh, well, people are telling me that I should do X, Y, and Z, so I probably should. When in reality, it's like, okay, is that just a distraction? Would that be a distraction from what I really want? And then what do I really want? Do I want this idea that someone gave to me, or do I want what I really want?
I was going to say, you're such an idea generator, and like all of them are always good, but you definitely overwhelm yourself with your ideas.
Yes.
And it's hard for you to put a pause on it and just be like, maybe one day. Instead, you try to figure out how you can make it all work right now. But that's not a bad thing at all. It's just definitely overwhelming.
Big time
overwhelming. But it's nice that you know the difference between dreams and reality.
No, absolutely.
It sounds funny to say that, but it's true.
No, but it is true, because I've really, really, really tried to get better at this, because I used to have an idea and act on it right away. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I've gotten myself into trouble sometimes because I was acting on it too quickly. But growing my backbone, setting my boundaries, I feel like I've done a better job at staying the course on what's meant for me. And I know it's the podcast, it's writing, and school right now.
Yeah.
Those are my big 3.
Yeah. And
then everything else is just either supplementary or in addition to.
Mm-hmm.
And all these businesses or ideas that people have been throwing at me are just things that are maybe one days, or like I had someone the other day, you should start an online fitness subscription and you can teach classes and all this stuff. Cause it was like, oh, like how's teaching going at the yoga studio? I was like, it's great. I'm having so much fun. I love it. But I love the community, and I love being in classes with people and them being like, oh my gosh, like that, is exactly what I needed today. Thank you for being a part of the start to my week. I loved this workout. Like that's what I love, is working out with people and coaching them through it. I don't really want to sit behind a camera and like work out,
Yeah, I tried that. It's awful.
Yeah. 'Cause we love the community piece. And so in my having a backbone, I was like, that is a great idea, but I don't know if that's necessarily for me, but thank you for recommending that. But maybe you should try that. That's what I said. 'Cause I know it's not my calling. And when you develop a backbone, and I think too, this just comes with a lot of prayer and like a lot of just figuring out, okay, what is just the voices that are around me versus what is actually God's voice. And that takes a lot of practice. And I've not perfected that for sure, but I also just kind of know when things aren't right,
Absolutely. Okay, stop saying sorry. Lily put in parentheses, I do this too often. I do.
No, I do.
Oh, sorry. It has my name.
No, I know. It has your name on it, but I do this too often.
Okay. But it's true. Yeah.
Even like in the grocery store, like if someone's coming at you with a cart and you guys are in the same like
oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. You can just be like, excuse me.
Yeah.
The other day, this lady looked so angry and aggressive. Where were we? Were we at
Harris Teeter?
And she didn't even say anything to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. And I'm like, I'm not that sorry. Like, you know.
And Marley back in the day taught me it was one time, I don't know if it was a boyfriend or a girlfriend with drama or something like that. No, I think it was when I was going through my high school breakup. And it was the point of the breakup where you go back and forth with messages about, let's save this. No, let's not. Anyway, Marley was helping me craft a message to my ex. And she was helping me set a boundary because I was like, I don't want him to text me anymore. I don't want him to, put his Bitmoji on SnapMap near my work. Like, that's not cool. Like, just leave me alone. Whatever. And
putting the Bitmoji on, how toxic.
It's so weird. Anyway, Marley helped me craft a message that was basically like, I accept your apology and whatever, but like, I'm not sorry kind of thing. Like, I'm not, like, I feel for you and I understand that you're going through a wave of emotions, but like, I'm not sorry for sticking up for myself and doing what I need to do. Because
100%.
Know who you are and what you want.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can be sympathetic for somebody or you can be like, oops, my bad. But like, grand scheme of things.
Say sorry if you're sorry. If you mean it, say sorry. Don't say sorry if you don't mean it, and don't say sorry for minor, like,
Or like, I always think about like at work, in and out of the kitchen, there's one door, and coming around the corner with like a bunch of plates, and like you're coming into the kitchen with plates to go to the dishwasher, and then the food runners are coming out with like a tray of plated food, and I'm always like, oops, I'm so sorry. And I'm
actually sorry. If I run into a food runner, I'm actually sorry.
No, totally. But it's like almost hitting each other.
It's like a oopsies.
Or just like traffic jam. I had one server, he was like, stop saying sorry, because it's not a big deal. Just, we're always in each other's way because this is just a small spot.
And they know it's not intentional.
No.
Like, you don't have to come forward
but you're
with like
not
a
literally
whole
like
apology.
going up to them, flipping the plate and being like, ha, you did not have a good grip on that plate. Like, no, you're genuinely just like moving throughout the cabin.
Yeah. And it doesn't require a full-fledged apology.
But that's the thing. Like, an apology should be used and saved for when something big happens.
When you've messed up and when you owe someone an apology.
Yeah, like, I am so sorry for XYZ. Like, I messed up. I'm owning it. And I hope that you can forgive me. That's an apology. Mm-hmm. But hitting somebody's cart in the grocery store by accident because of a traffic jam, like, oh, my bad, excuse me.
Yeah. Spin off of this one, I also think that you shouldn't tell people it's okay in response to I'm sorry.
Oh, maybe that's what I was thinking about with the message.
Yeah.
Because it's not okay.
No, because oftentimes if they're like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, it's probably not okay. You can say,
I accept your apology.
Thank you for apologizing. I accept your apology. Or if you want to forgive them, which we should forgive. Some things are harder to forgive than others, but you can say, okay, I forgive you. Or you can just straight up say, what you did isn't okay, but I accept your apology.
Yes.
And I think oftentimes the people are coming to you saying, I'm sorry, and apologizing. And I'm talking big things. I'm talking big things here, not just a little run-in in the kitchen.
Stalking, name calling.
If someone's coming to you with an apology and they genuinely are sorry, and it like what they did wasn't okay, you can remind them of that, but oftentimes like no need to rub any more salt in the wound. Like, they know that what they did isn't okay, so that's why they're apologizing, but you can just say, thank you for apologizing.
Yeah, and I think
use your backbone here.
I think that's what I was getting at with the text messages.
That's okay.
But I totally forgot that part. But yeah, that's one of my favorite things to say because you truly train the people you're around how to treat you.
100%.
And if you're constantly like, oh, it's all good.
If you're constantly letting stuff slide.
All good. It's okay.
Give them an inch, they're going to take a mile.
And they're going to do it over and over again. So.
Yeah. All right, number 6. On the opposite side of do not engage, stop avoiding confrontation. To really...
That I used to avoid... I go head on now.
To really have a strong backbone, you got to practice confrontation. I'm not saying go looking for opportunities to confront people.
Lily Rakow...
confrontation searcher.
No. Lily Rakow is actually giving you guys all permission to start a fight with anybody that you are around.
Know your worth enough to stick up for yourself. And when the opportunity presents itself for you to stick up for yourself, be calm, be confident. And I think the best way to win any argument, because most of the time confrontations, like someone said something bad about you behind your back and now you need to be like, all right, well, let's reconcile the situation. Or maybe it's this person wronged you and you want to have a conversation. Be calm, cool, and collected, and really just ask them maybe why they thought they were right, or maybe ask them to convince you why they were right. And most of the time, like, that's the best way. And I'm not necessarily saying like this is a trick to win an argument, but there's 3 sides to every story: your version, their version, and the truth. And oftentimes if you're coming to someone saying, hey, I know that X, Y, and Z happened, can you either tell me why you did that, or can you tell me why you were right? They really don't have a good excuse. They're going to try to find one. They're going to try to come up with one. But most of the time they're going to be like, you know what, I apologize for doing that. And a lot of people are scared of confrontation because they don't want to start an argument, because they don't want to lose a friend. But I truly believe like my best friendships are the ones where we have fights and we right the wrongs and we move on. There are some things where I've decided, okay, well, I'm going to confront this person, but it's going to mean losing the friendship. But I'm okay with that. I don't think I can continue being friends with them after they did whatever to me. You know, they're forgiven in silence.
Well,
but I've confronted them.
And I also think that it's like, if you have to, okay, like little things, like I always think of like random little real talks that we've had with like our guy friends. Mm-hmm. And they're like the best to like sort things out for or with, because they're all for being real all the time and calling each other out on the BS. But with girls, completely different story. But most of the time, the things with the girls, in my experience, have been far worse than anything that I've had issue-wise with guy friends.
Here's the thing about confrontation with guys. And I don't know what this is, but every time that I've had a fight with a guy, maybe they just don't want to fight with me, but they're like, you're right, Lil, I'm sorry. And then they move on. But if I have a fight with one of my friends that's a girl,
it's drama and drama.
It's drama. Like, no, well, you said this and she said that and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, wait a second, like, what? I don't know.
Every time.
And that's not to say that I don't love my female friendships, because my female friendships are some of my favorite friends.
No, well, what I was going to go on and say before you came in and said that was...
See, I did it again. Sorry.
Was that any fight I've had with a girl or anything that's happened that I've had to go to that friend and say, you did this, tell me why. It becomes drama. And I also don't really care if I lose her as a friend. I really don't, because if I even have to tell my girlfriends how to treat me, it's not a very big loss. Honestly, my life's better without them. I can think of like 4 people that's happened, and like I don't think about them anymore because it literally doesn't affect my life.
Yeah. I agree.
Sounds pretty harsh, but I really don't care.
People will do this thing where something goes wrong in a friendship and you could either just ghost that friend and never see them again, or you could know your worth and stick up for yourself. And it's tough to know which route you should take, but I think in your gut, you know, okay, it's worth saying something here because I'm going to lose this friend regardless. But I would rather stick up for myself and let it be known that I care enough about me to let this person know how I'm feeling, obviously at the expense of the friendship, but you're going to lose them regardless. Yep. So it's worth sticking up for yourself.
Well, and then I always just hope that, maybe they can learn from the experience and not do it to somebody else. Because I'm strong enough to take it and be fine with it, but maybe somebody else isn't.
Sheesh. Yeah. And I also think, too, on the complete opposite of that, if someone comes to you with confrontation, right the wrong.
Yeah, be honest.
Be honest. And if there's nothing that you can do to right the wrong, you're going to lose the friend, but apologize.
Yeah, I would say own it up. Own up to whatever it is.
And there's no use in making excuses. Like, literally, just be like, you know what? Yeah, I said what I said.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry that...
Or, I wish I could take it back, but unfortunately that's not how it works. And I apologize. I respect you. And I'm really actually happy that you brought it up to my attention. And, I hope you can forgive me, but I understand if you can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is, the right thing to do too. I mean, in this lifetime, we're all going to make so many mistakes, and we're all going to be presented with the opportunity to confront, and we're all going to be presented with the opportunity to be confronted. And you got to know how to take both sides. All right. Number 7.
When you set a boundary, stick to it. We've definitely already talked about all of this before, but seriously, I mean, like, if it's important enough to set it in the first place, keep it important and just stick to it.
Mm-hmm. I think I've talked about this on the podcast, but I had a friend set a hard boundary, hard line in the sand, very early on in the friendship. And
it wasn't even in the sand. It was a lot more permanent than sand.
It was in concrete, but there have been a couple occasions where we've been presented the opportunity to cross the boundary, and every single time decided not to, because the friendship is more important and the boundary is important. And you also should set boundaries when you're not in the current situation.
Absolutely. When you're both like clear-headed and
set your own boundaries too.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's social boundaries, romantic relationship boundaries, work boundaries, like those have to be ones that you set, not necessarily ones that you set with other people, because there's always going to be an opportunity for people to push those boundaries, and they will. And they have to be your boundaries that you stick to. And number 8, respect isn't an option, it's a requirement. This is what I wrote down. I can respect myself because of what God has done for me, not because of what I can do for me. For me in the past, respecting myself has been really difficult because I just didn't really know what that felt like. And when I started growing deeper in my faith, I realized that I don't necessarily have to always have all the answers. I don't have to be the one that respects me. I'm already respected by God. I'm already loved by God. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And because of that, I can put my worth and my value in God and not in earthly things.
Yeah, amen.
So that's the backbone episode.
I hope you guys all feel extra strong.
Yeah. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to give it a rating and a review. That just helps more people find and listen to the show. Also be sure to post today's episode on Instagram, tag 8020pod, 8020pod, tag me, Lily Rakow, tag Lexie at soulfullex. All of those will be linked in the show notes. Thank you guys so much for listening. I love you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you next week.
Bye, guys. Thanks for having me.